Have you ever wondered if that old coin in your pocket or collection could be worth a fortune? Some rare coins have sold for millions of dollars, making them some of the most valuable collectibles in the world. In this video, we'll explore the most valuable coins and what makes them worth so much. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this. First up, the 1939 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with a D mint mark, but with a twist. This particular penny is not in pristine condition. It's in full damage condition, yet it's still highly coveted by collectors. Sounds interesting, right? Stick around as we explore why this damaged coin can still fetch a pretty penny in today's auction market. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with all things coins. Let's start with a little history on the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny itself. The Lincoln wheat penny, which was minted from 1909 to 1958, is one of the most iconic U.S. coins ever produced. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, features the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse showcases two stalks of wheat, hence the wheat penny name. In 1939, over 200 million of these pennies were minted across various facilities, including the Denver Mint, where the 1939 D variety was produced. While it's a relatively common coin, the condition and certain features can make it incredibly valuable, especially in today's auction market. Now, let's talk about this specific coin, the 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny. In full damage condition, meaning the coin has visible wear, scratches, discoloration, or even environmental damage, you'd expect its value to be much lower than a pristine example. But here's the twist. Despite its damage, the coin can still hold significant value. You might be wondering, how can a damaged coin be valuable? Well, that depends on several factors. When it comes to rare coins, damage doesn't always reduce value to zero. In some cases, collectors are still willing to pay a premium for a coin because of its rarity or the history behind it. With the 1939 D penny, the fact that it's a D mint coin coupled with its age and limited availability in good condition gives it a unique edge in the marketplace. So, what's the value of this coin in today's auction market? A 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny in full damage condition can typically fetch anywhere between $5,000, depending on the severity of the damage and its overall appeal to collectors. While it may not break the bank like an uncirculated example, it's still an important piece of numismatic history. Coins with damage don't always follow the traditional value guidelines. Collectors looking for rare or incomplete sets might find value in these less-than-perfect specimens. Some buyers might also consider coins like the 1939 D with damage as affordable rarities. They're accessible to collectors who are building their collection without breaking their budget. You may be wondering why coins in poor condition can still be valuable. Well, it's all about rarity and demand. Even though the coin might have damage, it still represents a part of U.S. history. Moreover, the overall rarity of certain years, like the 1939 D, can make these coins highly desirable for specific collectors. Even with damage, the 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny is still rare in certain grades, which helps it retain value. For instance, if you have a 1939 D penny in full damage condition, and that damage is limited to a few minor scrapes or discolored spots, it could be more appealing to someone looking for a specific year to complete a set. Not every collector is after mint state examples, and damaged coins with a unique backstory can sometimes command a premium. When it comes to determining the exact value of your 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny in full damage condition, grading plays an essential role. The grading scale, ranging from poor to mint state, helps determine how much wear or damage a coin has experienced. A full damage coin would likely fall between the good and fair range on the scale, which is key in evaluating its market value. For coins with significant damage, collectors usually take into account how much of the design is still visible and how the damage impacts the coin's overall appeal. While it's unlikely to fetch the same amount as a well-preserved specimen, a damaged 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny can still be an exciting find at an auction. If you're looking to buy or sell your 1939 D Lincoln wheat penny in full damage condition, there are several places where you can find interested buyers. Online auction platforms like eBay or specialized coin auction sites are great starting points. Coin dealers and local coin shops may also be interested, though they might offer lower prices due to the coin's condition. The 1982 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark in fine condition. This is one of those coins that's been part of the U.S. Treasury for decades, and it's one you might just have lying around in your collection or a coin jar. In today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into its history, design, and most importantly, its value in the market today. So, let's get started. Here it is, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar, minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1932. It's a coin with an iconic design that pays tribute to George Washington, the first president of the United States. This particular coin was part of the regular release during 1982, but like any other, its value can fluctuate depending on its condition and rarity. Before we dive into its value, let's quickly go over the history and design of the Washington quarter. On the obverse, the front, we have a profile of George Washington, based on a design by artist John Flanagan. Washington's portrait is surrounded by the inscription Liberty and the year of minting, in this case, 1982. On the reverse, we see a magnificent eagle with its wings spread wide, representing the strength and spirit of the United States. The reverse also includes the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, which is Latin for out of many, one. Now, let's talk about the D mint mark. This means the coin was minted at the Denver Mint, which has been producing coins since 1906. The Denver Mint is responsible for many millions of coins every year, and coins with the D mint mark are common, especially for quarters from the 1980s. But don't let that fool you. Even though it was produced in large numbers, the coin's value will depend on its condition. This coin is in fine condition. When a coin is graded as fine, it means it has some noticeable wear, but the features of the coin are still fairly recognizable. For example, the details of George Washington's profile will still be visible, but there will be some wear on the higher points of the design, such as his hair and the tips of the eagle's wings. The coin will likely have a few scratches or surface marks, but it's still in decent shape compared to more heavily worn coins. As you can see, the coin in fine condition has some wear on the high points of the design, but it still retains a significant amount of detail. The Washington quarter's distinctive features are still legible, and the coin has not been overly damaged or worn down. So, now the big question: what's the value of a 1982 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark in fine condition in today's market? Well, the value of these coins can vary, depending on factors like demand, rarity, and condition. But in general, quarters from the 1980s, even in fine condition, are not highly sought after by collectors unless they have unique characteristics like errors or extreme wear. Based on recent auction data and sales trends, the value of a 1982 Washington quarter with D mint mark in fine condition typically falls in the range of about 50 cents to $50. You're not going to get a fortune for this coin, but if it's in your collection, it does have some value beyond just its face value of 25 cents. Keep in mind that values can fluctuate based on the market, so if you've got this coin in fine condition and you're looking to sell, it's always a good idea to check current listings from reputable dealers or auction sites. Some collectors may be willing to pay a little more, depending on the coin's eye appeal, the condition, and how well it's been preserved. Even though this coin may not break the bank, it's still an important part of U.S. coinage. The 1982 Washington quarter represents a piece of the 1980s in American history, and it's a great coin to have in your collection. The fact that it's from a period when the U.S. Mint was producing millions of coins each year adds to its significance, even if it's not a rare one. It's worth mentioning that collectors who focus on collecting coins from specific years or with certain mint marks might pay a little more for these quarters. And if you're collecting quarters from the entire Washington quarter series, then this 1982 coin is a great addition to complete your set. So, to wrap it up, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with D mint mark in fine condition typically holds a value of 50 cents to $1 in today's market. While it might not be the most valuable coin in your collection, it's definitely a solid find and a great example of everyday U.S. currency from the 1980s. If you have one of these, you can rest assured it's a nice piece of numismatic history. Next up, the 1919 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark, in a red color shade, and in dirty condition. Yes, you heard that right, a dirty penny that still commands impressive value. Stick around as we uncover the fascinating details about this coin and its value in today's auction market. Let's start with some background on the 1919 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a bust of Lincoln, while the reverse showcases 2 ears of wheat, symbolizing the nation's agriculture. The 1919 penny, in particular, was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it doesn't have a mint mark on the coin's reverse side. With more than 250 million of these coins minted, the 1919 penny was fairly common when it was first produced. However, over the years, the number of 1919 pennies still in circulation has dramatically decreased, especially in higher quality conditions. Now, let's talk about the specific 1919 penny. The one we're focusing on today, a red-colored Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, but in a dirty condition. You might be wondering, why would a dirty coin still have value? Well, despite its dirty appearance, this penny holds value due to its age, historical significance, and the fact that certain collectors specifically look for coins like this. When we talk about a red color shade, we're referring to the coin's original copper color, which, over time, can turn darker or even take on a reddish hue. This color is especially important for collectors, as it can indicate the coin was well preserved when it was first minted, even if it's now in a dirty condition. So what's the value of a 1919 Lincoln Wheat Penny in red color shade, but in dirty condition? The value can vary significantly depending on several factors, including the level of dirt, the coin's wear, and how much of its original red color is still visible. A typical 1919 penny in dirty condition with the original red color can range from $2,000 in the auction market, depending on the severity of its dirt and the specific demand from buyers. While that might seem like a wide range, it's important to remember that even pennies in less than perfect condition can attract buyers who are looking for historical significance, especially when it comes to specific years like 1919. You might be thinking, how can a dirty coin be valuable? The truth is, coins like the 1919 Lincoln Wheat Penny can still hold their value because of rarity and collector interest. Even though the coin is not in perfect condition, the fact that it's a piece of U.S. history still gives it considerable worth. Over time, many coins, especially pennies, have been circulated to the point that only a small fraction remains in decent condition. So, damaged or dirty pennies still attract collectors seeking to complete their sets or add historically significant pieces to their collection. What's important for collectors is that the coin maintains enough details of the design and color, even under dirt or corrosion. Some collectors might even see the dirt as part of the coin's story, its journey through time. Now, let's take a closer look at the factors that influence the value of this penny. First, we have the condition. While this coin may be dirty, the remaining visible design features matter a lot. The color is also key. A coin with a noticeable red shade is generally more valuable than one that's completely tarnished. Next, the demand. A 1919 Lincoln penny with no mint mark can have increased demand if the coin is part of a complete set, or if the buyer is focused on specific years. While many collectors chase after pristine examples, others are happy to add a historical piece, even with some dirt. So, where can you buy or sell a 1919 Lincoln Wheat Penny in this condition? The most common places to buy or sell are online auction platforms like eBay, where you can see recent sales and trends. You might also want to check out coin shops or local dealers, but remember, these places may offer lower prices for coins in dirty condition due to the cleaning costs involved in resale. Be sure to compare your coin to similar ones that have sold recently to ensure you're pricing it fairly, whether you're buying or selling. If you're looking for a more specific valuation, you might consider seeking advice from a professional coin dealer or attending a coin show. Next up, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark in damaged condition. We're going to talk about its design, history, and of course, its current value in today's market. Let's get started. Here it is, the 1966 Washington quarter. If you're holding one of these in your hand, you're looking at a piece of U.S. coinage that has an interesting backstory. Produced at the height of the 1960s, the 1966 Washington quarter was part of the standard circulation, minted by the Philadelphia Mint since it doesn't feature a mint mark. While the design is well known, the coin's damaged condition impacts its value, and that's what we'll explore in this video. Now, let's talk about the design of the 1966 Washington quarter. On the obverse, front, we see the iconic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington has been depicted on the quarter ever since 1932, and his profile has remained almost unchanged. Above the portrait, you'll find the word Liberty, the mint year, 1966, and the inscription In God We Trust on the reverse. There's an eagle in flight, gripping an olive branch and arrows in its talons. The reverse is also inscribed with United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. The design is strong, and even in a damaged coin, you can often still make out the eagle's wings and its overall shape. However, this particular coin is in damaged condition. So, what does damaged condition really mean? Well, when a coin is damaged, it typically shows signs of wear that go beyond normal circulation use. This could include scratches, dents, bent edges, or discoloration from exposure to harsh environments or mishandling. As you can see in this close-up, this 1966 quarter has some noticeable scratches across its surface, along with other dings and discoloration that might make it hard to discern some of the finer details. When coins like this are damaged, they lose some of their original beauty and definition, but that doesn't mean they lose all value. Now that we've covered the design and condition, let's talk about the value of a 1966 Washington quarter without a mint mark in damaged condition. As many of you know, the value of a coin is influenced by a number of factors, including its rarity, demand, and of course, condition. The 1966 Washington quarter was produced in large quantities, with a mintage of over 1 billion coins, making it quite common. In damaged condition, the value drops significantly since collectors generally prefer coins that are in better condition for their collections. So, in today's market, the value of a damaged 1966 Washington quarter is usually around $200, depending on the severity of the damage. For example, a coin with minor surface damage might fetch closer to the lower end of that range, while one with heavier wear could be closer to the 50-cent mark. When we look at the trends over the past few years, the value of damaged coins like this tends to stay stable, primarily due to the large mintage. However, if the coin were in unscathed or uncirculated condition, its value would be significantly higher, possibly around $210 to $300 or more, depending on the condition and demand. But don't be discouraged. Even though the 1966 Washington quarter in damaged condition may not be worth much in terms of market value, it still has its place in your collection. Damage aside, it's still a piece of American history from the mid-1960s. And remember, coins aren't just about value in dollars. They represent a moment in time, a snapshot of the past. A cool thing about collecting damaged coins is that it gives you an opportunity to preserve and understand the life cycle of coins. Next up, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny with D mint mark in extra fine condition. This particular penny has stood the test of time, and in excellent condition, it can fetch a pretty impressive value in today's auction market. Let's break down exactly what makes this coin so special and what it's worth today. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more amazing coin content. Let's start with a little history lesson. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny was part of the post-World War II minting process. After years of wartime coinage restrictions, the U.S. Mint resumed full production of the Lincoln Wheat penny in 1946, a year after the end of the war. With over 1,001,946 pennies minted across all three facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, it was a relatively common coin during its time. However, as we know, rarity and condition are what make certain coins valuable, and that's where the 1946 D comes into play. The 1946 penny, especially with the D mint mark, was minted at the Denver Mint, and it features the classic design by Victor David Brenner, the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 ears of wheat on the reverse. This coin has become a key piece for collectors, particularly for those assembling complete wheat penny collections from 1909 to 1958. So what makes the 1946 D Lincoln Wheat penny in extra fine condition stand out? First, let's talk about extra fine condition. In numismatic grading terms, a coin in extra fine XF condition shows a lot of the original design details, but it will have some light wear from circulation. The coin may have a few slight signs of use, but the key design features like Lincoln's profile, the wheat stalks, and the lettering will still be sharp and well-defined. For a 1946 D penny, in extra fine condition, the coin should have clear lines in Lincoln's hair, good detail in the wheat stalks, and minimal to no wear on the raised areas. While these pennies were circulated for years, finding one in such good condition is rare, which is why they are highly sought after by collectors. Now, let's talk about the value of this coin in the market today. A 1946 D Lincoln Wheat penny in extra fine condition can be quite valuable, considering its historical significance and the quality of its preservation. In today's auction market, you can expect to see this coin selling anywhere from $23,000 on average, depending on the level of extra fine detail and the demand from bidders. If it's a particularly well-preserved example or has other desirable features like unique toning or minimal wear, it could fetch even more. So, while it may not have the high price tag of rarer coins, it's still a significant value for a coin that's almost 80 years old. It's also important to note that the value can fluctuate based on market trends and the collector's interest in the year and mint mark. For example, a 1946 D penny with excellent preservation could potentially bring in $500 or more if it catches the attention of the right buyer or is sold in a competitive auction. You might be wondering, why does condition matter so much for coin value? Great question. The condition of a coin is a key determining factor in its worth because it reflects how well it has been preserved over the years. Coins in higher grades, such as extra fine or even higher, are rarer and more desirable to collectors than coins with excessive wear or damage. For the 1946 D Lincoln Wheat penny, its relatively high mintage means there are many examples still available, but fewer in excellent condition. That's what makes those in extra fine or better grades more valuable. And since many of these coins have circulated through the years and experienced wear, finding one in such good shape is a win for collectors looking to complete their sets. If you happen to own a 1946 D Lincoln Wheat penny, you're probably wondering how to maximize its value. A few key factors can affect the price you can fetch for your coin in the auction market. Grade. As we've mentioned, the coin's condition is the most important factor. Extra fine condition can make a significant difference compared to a coin with more wear or damage, rarity of the specific coin. Although the 1946 D was widely minted, the demand for well-preserved examples of this coin still drives its price. Coins that are rare and high grades tend to see the most interest. If you're looking to buy or sell your 1946 D Lincoln Wheat penny, there are a number of places you can turn to. Online auction platforms like eBay are great for finding competitive prices, but make sure to check the recent sales of similar coins to get a better idea of the going rate. So, there you have it. The 1946 D Lincoln Wheat penny in extra fine condition. Despite its relatively high mintage, the quality of preservation can make all the difference in its value. This coin may not be the rarest in the world, but it's still a valuable piece of American history. Next up, the 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, in good condition. We'll be discussing its history, design features, and of course its value in today's market. So, let's get right into it. Here it is, the 1974 Washington quarter. If you happen to have one of these in your collection, you're holding onto a quarter that reflects the early 1970s era in the United States. This particular coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which, as we'll talk about later, is why it has no mint mark. The 1974 Washington quarter is quite common, but that doesn't mean it's not an interesting piece to talk about, especially when we look at its value in today's market. Let's first take a look at the design of this coin. On the obverse, the front, we have the iconic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington has graced the U.S. quarter since 1932, and his image has remained largely unchanged, serving as a constant symbol of American history and patriotism. Above the portrait, you'll find the word Liberty, and to the right, the year 1974, along with the inscription, "In God We Trust" on the reverse, the back, we see an eagle perched on an olive branch, with its wings spread wide, holding arrows in its talons. This eagle is surrounded by the words United States of America and A Pluribus Unum. This reverse design has been on the quarter since 1932, and it's one of the most recognizable features of U.S. coinage. Now, let's talk about this specific coin's condition. The 1974 Washington quarter is in good condition. For coins, good condition typically means that the coin has been circulated and has noticeable wear, but it still retains its basic details. The overall features of George Washington's portrait and the eagle are visible, though there may be some flattening of the details, particularly in the more intricate areas, like the hair or the feathers on the eagle's wings. You might also notice some surface scratches or discoloration due to the coin's journey through the hands of many people over the years. While it isn't in mint condition, it's still a decent piece that tells the story of how coins pass through circulation and retain their historical significance, even as they show signs of wear. To answer that question, we need to consider a few key factors: mintage, condition, and collector demand. The 1974 Washington quarter was minted in large quantities, with a total mintage of around 500 million coins across all denominations. This large mintage means that the coin is very common, so it's not going to be worth a huge amount, especially in a condition like good. In today's market, a 1974 Washington quarter in good condition is generally worth around $80. The lower end of the range is for coins that are more worn or have significant damage, while coins at the higher end of the range may show slightly better details. But regardless, it's important to note that circulated coins from this era aren't typically worth a lot unless they're in exceptional condition or have some unique features, like a minting error. If you were looking at a higher grade coin, say one in uncirculated or gem condition, the value could be much higher. For example, uncirculated 1974 quarters might be worth around $120, depending on their quality. But for coins like this one, which have been through the circulation ringer, the value remains modest. Next up, the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, in very fine condition. This penny may be from the late 1930s, but it still holds significant value in today's market, especially if it's in excellent condition. Stick around as we explore everything about this coin and its history. Let's start with a quick history of the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909, designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It remained in circulation until 1958, with several key years and varieties that are highly sought after by collectors today. In 1939, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Lincoln wheat pennies across its three facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, the 1939 penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why you won't find a mint mark on the reverse side of this coin. While 1939 isn't considered a particularly rare year in terms of mintage, the penny remains a valuable piece due to its age, design, and the fact that few of these coins survive in high-quality condition. Let's take a look at the significance of the 1939 penny in very fine condition. When it comes to grading, the very fine condition of a coin is an important factor in determining its value. A coin in very fine VF condition shows significant wear but still retains much of its original design. For the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny, you'll find that Lincoln's image and the wheat stalks on the reverse are still clear, with just a bit of wear along the high points. The lettering and date should be legible, and the coin will have some light abrasions or minor scratches. A coin in very fine condition will usually have more defined details than a coin in fine condition, but it will still show some wear from years of circulation. The 1939 Lincoln penny, when graded as very fine, still holds great appeal to collectors due to its age and historical context, making it much more valuable than a heavily worn or damaged coin. So, how much is a 1939 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark worth today? In the current auction market, the value of a 1939 penny in very fine condition typically ranges from $20,000, depending on specific details such as the overall preservation of the coin, the demand from collectors, and market conditions at the time. The lower end of the range tends to apply to coins with more noticeable wear or slight imperfections, while the higher end is for coins that show minimal wear and preserve much of their original detail. It's also important to note that the market can fluctuate, so some years may see these coins reach higher prices depending on collector interest. Compared to other years in the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, the 1939 without a mint mark is not as rare as some of the more scarce years. However, its historical significance and the fact that high-quality examples are harder to find still gives it a respectable place in the market. You might be wondering, why does the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny hold such value, even in very fine condition? Well, there are a few reasons for this. First, age plays a big role. Coins from the 1930s are inherently rarer because they've been in circulation for decades, with many of them lost or worn down over time. Second, historical context adds to the coin's appeal. The late 1930s marked a transitional period in the U.S., with the country coming out of the Great Depression and moving toward World War II. Coins from this era are a tangible connection to that period of American history. Lastly, even though 1939 wasn't a particularly low mintage year, the condition of the coin significantly affects its value. A well-preserved coin in very fine condition is much rarer than a heavily worn penny, which increases its value among collectors looking to complete sets or add significant pieces to their collections. Other factors include toning and eye appeal. While toning doesn't always add value, coins that have attractive, even toning can sometimes command a higher price. Also, market demand fluctuates. The market for Lincoln Wheat pennies can change over time, so it's always a good idea to check recent auction results to gauge current trends. So, where can you buy or sell a 1939 Lincoln Wheat penny? For buyers, platforms like eBay and other online auction sites are excellent places to find these coins. Be sure to compare prices and check the seller's feedback before making a purchase. If you're looking to sell, you can try local coin shops, but you may get a better price by selling at an auction. Online auctions like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers are great places to reach collectors who are specifically interested in pennies from the 1930s. Next up, the 1984 Washington quarter dollar with P mint mark in fine condition. This coin has been around for over 30 years, but how much is it worth today? We're going to take a deep dive into its history, design, and its value in today's market. So, let's jump right in. Here it is, the 1984 Washington quarter dollar with the P mint mark located just below the eagle on the reverse. This quarter was part of the regular issue coinage from 1984, produced by the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by that P mint mark. Now, while many of these quarters were produced in the millions, their value can still vary depending on their condition. Before we go over the value, let's quickly touch on the design of the Washington quarter. The obverse, front, features a portrait of George Washington, designed by artist John Flanagan. This portrait has remained almost identical since the coin's introduction in 1932, giving the Washington quarter a timeless look. Surrounding the portrait are the words Liberty and the year of minting, 1984, along with In God We Trust. On the reverse, you'll find a majestic eagle with its wings spread wide, holding an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other. Below the eagle is the inscription United States of America, with E pluribus unum above, meaning out of many, one. The P mint mark on the reverse indicates that this quarter was minted in Philadelphia, which, interestingly, became the first U.S. mint to produce coins with P mint mark in 1980. Before that, Philadelphia coins didn't have a mint mark at all, but since then, the P mint mark has been used on coins from this facility. Now let's talk about the condition of this coin. The 1984 Washington quarter we're discussing is in fine condition. So, what exactly does that mean? A coin in fine condition will show some noticeable wear, especially on the higher points of the design, like George Washington's hair and the eagle's wings. The details will still be recognizable, but there will be a bit of smoothing or rubbing, and you may also see some scratches or dirt buildup on the surface. Despite this wear, the overall design is still clear, making it a nice piece for a collector. As you can see in this close-up, the coin shows some wear, especially on the high points, but it still maintains a lot of detail. The profile of George Washington is still easily identifiable, and the eagle on the reverse is also in good shape, though not as sharp as it would be on a coin in higher grades like uncirculated condition. So, you're probably wondering what's the value of a 1984 Washington quarter with P mint mark in fine condition in today's market? Well, as I've mentioned before, the value of a coin depends on a variety of factors, including its rarity, condition, and demand in the market. For a 1984 Washington quarter with a P mint mark in fine condition, the value typically ranges between $40. While it isn't a high-value coin, it's still a nice find if you happen to have it in your collection. Looking at the trends over the past few years, the value of these coins has remained relatively stable. Since it's a fairly common coin from the 1980s, it doesn't have the same level of interest as rarer coins. However, the fine condition does make it a little more valuable than one that's heavily worn or damaged. If you're looking to sell or trade this coin, the market value will usually be between $60. But if you're just starting your collection or adding this coin to an existing set of Washington quarters, it's a great piece to have. It's a tangible connection to 1980s American history and a great representation of coinage from that time period. While the 1984 Washington quarter isn't a high-value coin in terms of monetary worth, it's definitely an important piece for collectors. It's also a coin that reflects the broader trends in U.S. coinage from the 1980s, which were characterized by regular production and widespread circulation. Next up, the 1938 Lincoln Wheat penny, with a D mint mark in fine condition. This penny might not have the high price tag of some rarer coins, but it still holds an important place in the Lincoln Wheat penny series and can be quite valuable depending on its condition. So, if you want to know what this coin is worth in today's market, stick around as we break it down in detail. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss out on any valuable coin info. Let's start by setting the stage with a little history. The Lincoln Wheat penny, first introduced in 1909, has long been one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse. The 1938 Lincoln Wheat penny was part of the mid to late 1930s series, produced during a time of economic recovery following the Great Depression. Despite the fact that over 200,001,938 pennies were minted, most of them have circulated heavily over the decades, making those in good condition much harder to find. For our discussion today, we'll focus on the 1938 penny minted at the Denver Mint, denoted by the D mint mark. This mint produced over 50 million pennies that year, but with so many examples out there, finding one in fine condition is what makes this coin interesting. So what exactly does it mean when we say a coin is in fine condition? According to numismatic grading standards, a coin in fine condition shows clear wear, but retains much of its design. For the 1938 Lincoln Wheat penny, this means the coin will have some smoothness on the high points, like Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks on the reverse. The lettering will still be readable, and there will be no major damage or pitting. While the fine condition doesn't show as much detail as a higher-grade coin, it still maintains the essential design elements. A coin like this might have been in circulation for many years, but is still in decent enough shape to be appreciated by collectors. Now, let's talk about how much this coin is worth today. In the current market, a 1938 D Lincoln Wheat penny in fine condition typically ranges in value from about $15,000. That might not sound like a huge amount, but it's important to remember that the value of any coin depends on the condition and the demand for that specific year and mint mark. For a fine condition, 1938 D penny, the price generally sits at the lower end of the scale, unless it has additional features that might make it stand out, like unique toning or especially minimal wear. Coins with high demand from collectors could also push the value to the higher end of that range or slightly above. If you find a particularly well-preserved coin that has minimal signs of wear, it could even fetch close to $500 or more, but that's less common. Keep in mind, the value can vary based on the auction venue, the current interest in Lincoln Wheat pennies, and market conditions. So why does the 1938 D penny hold any value at all? For starters, rarity plays a part. While the mintage was relatively high, fine condition examples are harder to find due to years of circulation. Coins that have survived the decades in decent condition are always more desirable to collectors. Another important factor is the historical significance of the coin. The 1938 Lincoln wheat penny was struck at a time of economic recovery for the U.S., and it's part of a series that captures an important moment in the nation's history. Coins from the late 1930s have a special appeal, particularly as they represent the transition from the Great Depression to the wartime economy. Lastly, collectors focus on completing their wheat penny collections, and the 1938 D is part of that puzzle. Though it isn't as rare as some other years, it's still a crucial coin for those looking to finish their sets. The demand for these types of pennies remains steady, and that's why they hold value collector demand. Coin values are also influenced by how much collectors are actively searching for specific coins. For the 1938 D penny, the demand is steady, but it may increase if there's a surge in interest or a special event, like a coin auction with lots of Lincoln wheat pennies. If you're looking to buy or sell your 1938 D Lincoln wheat penny, there are a few options. Online auctions like eBay offer a wide range of opportunities to find and purchase this coin. Just be sure to research recent sales prices to get an idea of current market value. For selling, you might consider visiting local coin shops or attending a coin show, where collectors often look for specific coins to add to their collections. If you're hoping for the best price, online auctions or larger numismatic auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers may give you access to a larger pool of buyers. As always, it's important to know your coin's worth before size. Next up, the 1990 Washington Quarter with D mint mark in extra fine condition. We'll explore its design, history, and of course, we'll dive into its value in today's market. If you have one of these coins in your collection, you're in for a treat, so let's get started. Here it is, the 1990 Washington Quarter. As you can see, this coin is a part of the ongoing series of Washington Quarters that have been in circulation since 1932. This specific coin was minted in Denver, which is why you'll see the D mint mark on the reverse side. It's important to note that this coin was produced during the 1980s and early 1990s, which is a period marked by the consistent design and continued use of George Washington's portrait on the quarter. Let's first take a closer look at the design of the coin. On the obverse, the front, we see the classic portrait of George Washington, which was designed by John Flanagan. Washington's portrait is shown facing left, with his hair neatly styled and his face carefully rendered. Above him, you'll find the word Liberty, and to the right, the year 1990 is engraved, along with the inscription, "In God We Trust." Now, moving to the reverse, the back of the coin, we see the image of an eagle perched on an olive branch, wings spread wide, clutching arrows. The eagle is an enduring symbol of American strength and freedom. Surrounding the eagle are the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. You'll also spot the D mint mark near the bottom, indicating that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, let's talk about the condition of this particular coin, extra fine condition. In coin grading, extra fine, often abbreviated as XF, is a term used to describe coins that have been circulated but show only minor wear. For a 1990 Washington Quarter in extra fine condition, you should expect to see crisp and sharp details, especially on George Washington's portrait and the eagle's feathers. There may be some light wear on the high points, like the hair on Washington's head or the feathers on the eagle's wings, but the design elements remain well defined. One of the key features of an extra fine coin is that it has retained much of its original luster, meaning it still has a bright appearance but has been worn down slightly from circulation. You won't find the deep wear seen in coins that are in good or fine condition, making this extra fine example a much more desirable coin for collectors. So, with the coin's design and condition in mind, let's talk about the value of the 1990 Washington Quarter with a D mint mark in extra fine condition in today's market. In terms of mintage, the 1990 Washington Quarter was struck in significant numbers, with over 600 million coins minted across all three mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While this may seem like a large mintage, it's important to keep in mind that extra fine condition coins are much more sought after than those in poor or heavily worn states. In today's market, a 1990 Washington quarter with D mint mark in extra fine condition is generally worth between $12,000. The exact value can vary depending on factors like the coin's specific grade, any unique features it may have, and fluctuations in the coin market. The value of these coins has remained relatively stable over time due to their relatively high mintage. However, extra fine coins tend to hold a premium over coins that are in more worn conditions. So, if you have a 1990 Washington quarter in extra fine condition, you've got yourself a coin worth more than face value, and it's a great addition to your collection. Now, you might be wondering, why should you care about a coin like this? Well, even though the 1990 Washington quarter isn't considered rare by most standards, its extra fine condition makes it more appealing to collectors. Collectors who focus on higher-grade coins appreciate these examples because they represent well-preserved pieces of history. If you're working on completing a collection of Washington quarters or a collection of U.S. quarters from specific years, this coin holds a special place. Plus, coins like these are perfect for those who want to focus on collecting quarters by their mint mark or grade. Before we wrap things up, remember that coin values can fluctuate. So, while this coin is worth around $14,000 today, values could change based on collector demand, market trends, and other factors in the numismatic world. If you're ever in doubt about your coin's value, don't hesitate to consult with a professional coin dealer or appraiser to get a more precise estimate. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss out on any of our future videos. We'd also love to hear from you. Do you have a 1990 Washington quarter in your collection? How does it look? Drop a comment below and let us know.